we have one of our Typesense users. So coincidentally, the platform that we're hosting this event on, called Aviyel.com. So they are also a Typesense user. So that's a nice coincidence, I should say. And we have Jeph from Aviyel, who's going to talk about how they use Typesense within on the platform, and how their experience integrating, and any potential new features that they're planning to implement as well. So Jeph, over to you.
Okay, so my name is Jeph, and Jibin is also here, I think, in the audience. So he's our CTO, and I take care of the backend here. So Avial is our product, and we are building up Avial as a platform to help open source projects and open source developers become sustainable and monetize their work in any way they can. It could be through support, it could be through outreach, all kinds of things. So we want to be like a Shopify for open source projects. So I have like a couple of slides which I'll run you guys through the slides, and so I'll be telling you guys how we use Typesense in our platform. So yeah, let's get started, and feel free to stop me and ask questions. So yeah, we are Aviyel. Now is the interesting part of how Typesense fits into our scheme of things here. Being a platform, what we want to do is we want to aggregate a lot of the different content open source projects generate and open source developers write. So our vision is to bring all the different places where people write content. It could be Stack Overflow, it could be a Slack channel, it could be GitHub issues. So we want to help the end user be able to find what he's looking for in one place. That's one of our goals. So search becomes a very integral part of our whole platform, and so we kept looking at different options. There were a lot of different. There are a lot of different search engines and products out there, and we've used Elasticsearch and a lot of other projects, and we chose Typesense because it was really easy to set up and get going. Defining the schemas was very easy, and also it was very resource light. So it was easy to set up. Even on your local, you can just run the binary and it's up and running. And on production too, it's it was simple and easy for us to get everything going. And so that's how we ended up with Typesense. And at Avial, we have the search part of things, which is powered by Typesense. Our feeds are also, so we have a highlight feed on the homepage that is also being powered by Typesense. So with that, I'm going to explain a few of the features in Typesense that we use. One of the most basic thing that Typesense gives you, like all other search engines, is the facets. And faceting is very important because when you have fairly complex data, you want a lot of different filters, and you want selections to fine tune your results and to easily get to what you're looking for. So on a fun afternoon, this is what our search page currently looks like. And As you can see on the right-hand side, there are a lot of different filters. So you can filter by tag, you can filter by content type, you can choose to search in the comments, or you can choose not to search in the comments. So all of this is powered by the facets that Typesense gives you. And then another feature that we use is the multiple collections part. Collections is sort of the table equivalent in Typesense land. So we have like logically disparate data sets. We have projects, we have content which is like posts, questions, polls. Then we have like project related data. So it makes sense for us to keep them separate. Putting all of that into the same bucket becomes really, really unwieldy for us. So we keep them to separate buckets, separate collections. And so this is a like new search page. So every time you search for a single query, we fetch data we search in all these different collections, and then we have a single consolidated search page where you can see all the results from the different collections also. And again, like, as our search is getting more comprehensive, there are more filters. Now you can search by project, you can search by tags, you can search by the type of content, and faceting becomes like really important. And Typesense setting up the facets is like fairly simple. It also lets you configure the number of results that you can get per facet and the number of facets that you want to show. And getting all this up and running in Typesense is fairly easy and simple. So that helps us. Then another feature that we use is the federated search, which is the ability to fire multiple search requests at your collections and at the same time. So we only have to, send one query, and then the system takes care of searching across the collections and getting us the results. So we use it in two places. The first most obvious place is when in our search page we want to show results from separate collections. This is very handy because you don't have to like fire two requests and then get the results and wait for both of them to be successful. You can just send all your parameters together at once and Typesense searches in all the collections. Slightly more complicated use case is keeping the filters sort of fixed. The idea is that when you search for something and then you select one of the filters, the other filters in that particular so for example, here you can see content type. So once you select blog, the other things shouldn't just vanish. You want the other options to be available. And when you have like multiple filters, that gets a little complicated because now you have to fire all the different combinations so that you can see all the possible filters for the given search query. That's only possible if you can fire all these multiple requests. And that is again something that Typesense gives you out of the box. You can send all these multiple combinations and Typesense just gives you all those results. So why did we choose Typesense? There are a lot of other systems out there. Like I was saying, we experimented with Elasticsearch. We have experience with Elasticsearch, and it's a little. It is feature complete and it does everything possible under the sun, but it's a little difficult to get it up and running, and it's also a little resource intensive. So for us, Typesense made sense because it was really easy to define the schemas, set up the collections, start pushing data and querying it and getting the results was really fast. So for us to get started and get going with Typesense was really quick. So that's one of the reasons why we chose Typesense. So pushing our data to Typesense, our data is pushed asynchronously, almost in real time. So we have a background task which pushes the data to Typesense, and it almost happens in real time. So the user feels it like it's instantaneous. And another thing, since we are in our very early stages, our schemas are constantly changing. So for us, we have to constantly index and re-index our collections. So sometimes we just drop the index and recreate a fresh index. We've started using the alias feature, but the in-place schema modification that you guys were talking about is going to be really useful for us, because we keep making changes to our collection all the time. So that's about how we push data. High level overview of our architecture. Typesense helps us do the search. So we have multiple components in our system. So we have a NodeBB powers our posts and all the textual content. Then we have the event system, which powers the conferencing platform that we are currently using. And Typesense plays a crucial role in all of this by powering all the search, be it content, be it event-related things. All the search is powered by Typesense. So this is sort of the block diagram which talks about how we push data to Typesense. All our data, like posts, events, polls, projects, everything is like pushed. And searching again happens through Typesense. Yeah, and with that I end my presentation. So that's how we started with Typesense, and that's where we are with Typesense. We are quite happy with it, and yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned about Elasticsearch. That's a common thing that I keep hearing is, Elasticsearch does everything. Of course, Typesense, we're not trying to be feature parity with Elasticsearch. So instead, we're trying to focus on just a few use cases and then do it really well. So I'm glad to see that resonated with you as you were looking at search solutions. By the way, I guess maybe slightly off topic, but out of curiosity, I'm curious why you guys or where you use temporal. I saw that in the slide deck.
We initially started using temporal in our data. We have a data aggregation part where we fetch data from GitHub, data from Slack, and then we kind of put it together. That piece was initially done with temporal. I mean, orchestrating the whole thing. So now since that worked well for us, we are sort of using temporal across the platform. So we are moving all our background jobs and crons to temporal.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I've been recently hearing more and more about temporal, so I should probably check it out sometime.
Yeah, it's sort of like bleeding edge orchestration. It lets you pause the task and then replay it and do all that. So
cool. All right. So thank you, Jeph, again for walking us through your use case of Typesense. Feel free. This video is recorded, so we'll be posting it back in our Slack community. And again, as a reminder, if you would like a feature that you really need to be prioritized in Typesense, the best way is to, besides prioritize support and sponsoring us on GitHub and using Typesense Cloud, the best way is to then add your use case, or even if you do all of the things that I mentioned before, still add your use case to an issue if it already exists, or create a new issue and add your use case about how you will be using the feature, and that gives us a lot of context to prioritize the roadmap. So with that, we're done. Unless Kishore, you have any final thoughts, words?
Nope, I don't have anything from my.
Awesome. All right. So this was our first of many calls talking about the roadmap. So we will probably also try to do this in different times to accommodate everyone around in different time zones. So stay tuned. We'll come back with more updates as we build up Typesense. And thank you so much for all your support over these years. We're making some exciting progress here with Typesense.